Ladies and gentlemen, tune your dial to a topic that sneaks up on nearly everyone. Poor circulation after 60. Cold feet, heavy legs, hands that feel like they live in a freezer. And the internet's favorite explanation? Your arteries are clogged. But the real story is more interesting and more hopeful, because in many people the problem is not a giant traffic jam in the highway, it's the traffic lights malfunctioning. The vessels lose their youthful ability to open on command. They stiffen, they hesitate, they stop responding. Tonight's broadcast is called Poor Circulation After 60, and we're going to separate folklore from physiology. No miracle artery cleanse, no magical drain cleaner for your body. Just the real levers that improve blood flow.
Okay, quick myth bust right up front. Most people picture arteries like dirty pipes with gunk stuck inside. And sure, plaque exists, and it matters. But a huge part of bad circulation after 60 is function, not just blockage. Your vessels are supposed to expand and relax when your muscles need more oxygen, when you walk, when you get warm, when you stand up. That ability is called vascular responsiveness, and it depends a lot on the inner lining of your blood vessels, the endothelium. Now imagine your vessels are more like a smart garden hose. In your younger years, it widens instantly when you need more flow. After 60, that hose gets stiff and stubborn. Even if it is not severely narrowed, it might not open up when demand rises. Result, you get symptoms like cold toes, fatigue when walking, heavy legs, slower recovery, sometimes even that annoying feeling like your body is running on low power mode. So the goal is not scrub the pipes. The goal is make the pipes responsive again. That's the secret sauce.
And now, a closer look inside the vessel itself. There is a thin, delicate layer lining every artery, every arteriole, every microscopic channel that feeds your tissues, the endothelium. In youth, it behaves like a well-trained orchestra conductor, releasing chemical signals that tell the vessel to relax, widen, and deliver blood smoothly. With age, that conductor loses tempo. The signals weaken. The vessel wall thickens. Elasticity fades. This is why an older artery can look open enough on paper, yet still deliver disappointing flow when the moment of need arrives. The bigger vessels become less springy, more rigid. Pressure rises. The heart works harder. And at the tiny vessel level, the microcirculation, the system becomes less adaptable. In the modern science of aging, circulation is often limited by stiffness and signaling problems, not only by obvious blockages. So if you want better blood flow after 60, you don't hunt for a one-time cleanse. You rebuild what aging steals: flexibility, chemical communication, and the ability to dilate on demand.
Here's the superstar molecule you need to know: nitric oxide, or NO. This is basically the open sesame signal for your blood vessels. When NO shows up, the smooth muscle in the vessel wall relaxes, the vessel widens, and blood flow improves. Now the annoying part: as we age, NO tends to drop. The enzyme system that makes it works less efficiently, and oxidative stress can destroy NO before it even does its job. That's why exercise used to feel easier, and why the pump in your legs used to arrive faster. Less NO means less dilation, less quick delivery. But here's the cool part: your body has a backup pathway. Dietary nitrates, found in foods like beets and leafy greens, can be converted into nitric oxide through a nitrate to nitrite to nitrite to NO pathway involving your mouth bacteria and your stomach environment. Translation: you can feed the NO system even when aging makes the endothelium less productive. So yes, beets get hype online. But the real reason they matter is not magic. It's biochemistry that helps vessels open.
Picture the body as a city at night. The heart is the power station. The arteries are the boulevards. But nitric oxide is the green light system that prevents gridlock. When that green light system fades with age, the city still functions, but everything slows. Congestion forms at the worst moments: climbing stairs, walking uphill, standing up quickly, keeping fingers warm in winter air. And the plot thickens. Two shadowy forces stalk the aging circulation story: chronic inflammation and oxidative stress. Not a dramatic feverish infection, but a quiet background simmer, the kind that never fully turns off. This low-grade inflammatory state pushes vessels toward stiffness, damages endothelial signaling, and encourages the chemistry that neutralizes nitric oxide. Oxidative stress is the spark that ruins the message. Reactive oxygen species collide with nitric oxide, reducing its availability and leaving the vessel less able to relax. In time, this becomes a cycle. Inflammation generates more oxidative stress. Oxidative stress worsens inflammation, and both suffocate nitric oxide signaling. So the story is no longer pipe cleaning, it's restoring the green lights, quieting the background sabotage and training the system to respond again.
Let's connect that to real life. If you feel like your legs fatigue faster than they should, or your feet stay cold even indoors, that can be a microcirculation issue. Those tiny vessels are where oxygen delivery actually happens. Big artery flow can be okay, but if microvessels don't dilate, the tissue still suffers. Cold feet can also be nerves, not just blood. Diabetes and metabolic issues can damage the nerves that control vessel tone or the nerves that interpret temperature, so your feet can feel cold even when the skin is not ice cold. Burning, tingling, pins and needles, especially at night, is often neuropathy territory, and microvascular health is part of that story too. Now, does this mean you ignore serious warning signs? If someone has severe one-sided symptoms, wounds that won't heal, or sudden dramatic changes, that's a different conversation. But for the everyday I'm older and my circulation feels weaker, the fix is often improving vessel function, nitric oxide signaling, inflammation control, metabolic control, and movement that pumps blood through those small vessels daily. That's why the best plan feels boring. It's consistent and physiological, not flashy.
And now, the blood itself enters the scene. Because even if the road is wide, traffic can still snarl if drivers misbehave. Platelets, the body's emergency patch team, become more reactive with age. Chronic inflammation nudges them toward stickiness. In the wrong context, that stickiness contributes to clot risk and microflow problem. This is precisely why certain foods earned reputations as blood thinners. Yet let the record show, the kitchen is not a pharmacy. Garlic, ginger, and similar compounds may support healthier platelet behavior, but they do not perform emergency medicine. They do not dissolve a dangerous clot on command. They are gentle, long-term nudges that help the blood behave more calmly in a system already stressed by age. In the grand tapestry of circulation, platelets matter because they sit at the intersection of inflammation and flow. Calm the inflammation, and you often calm the platelets. Improve the endothelial surface, and you reduce the tendency for trouble to stick. So the question becomes, which foods have credible evidence for supporting these systems without slipping into fantasy? The broadcast continues.
All right, let's talk specific secret sauce. Ingredients, but the honest version. Beetroot and nitrate-rich greens. These support nitric oxide production. In studies, beet juice can modestly lower blood pressure and improve flow-mediated dilation, basically a marker of how well vessels widen. Not a miracle, a measurable nudge. Garlic, honestly one of the strongest evidence-backed ones. It can support blood pressure, arterial flexibility, and has mild antiplatelet effects. Think of it as helping the vessel environment stay more relaxed and less reactive. Ginger, useful mostly as an anti-inflammatory helper, and it may mildly reduce platelet aggregation. It also has that warming reputation for a reason, but again, we're talking supportive effects, not a dramatic transformation overnight. Cinnamon, this one is sneaky. It is less about instant dilation and more about metabolic support. Better insulin sensitivity and lower inflammation means less ongoing damage to the vessel lining, which over time helps circulation. Amla, not as famous in the West, but interesting. It is rich in vitamin C and polyphenols and has evidence for improving lipid profiles and antioxidant capacity, which supports vascular health indirectly and sometimes directly. The real hack is stacking modest wins into a noticeable change.
In earlier decades, a man might have sought the elixir of life in rare tonics and forbidden powders. Today, the true elixir is less glamorous, consistent inputs that make blood vessels behave younger than the calendar suggests. And the magic, if one dares use that word, is synergy. Imagine a recipe. One ingredient improves nitric oxide signaling. Another lowers inflammation. Another steadies metabolic stress. Another supports platelet balance. Alone, each is modest. Together, they shape the internal environment where vessels can relax, respond, and deliver. But we must also warn against the carnival barkers. Any voice promising unclog your arteries in days is selling fiction. Plaque is not soap scum. Atherosclerosis is biology, not plumbing. The true prize is improved function, better dilation, better pressure control, better tissue perfusion, better endurance, and often warmer hands and feet as the small vessels rediscover how to open. So let the audience be wise. Seek the boring truth that works. Calm the sabotage. Train the system. Then the body, stubborn as it may be, often rewards the effort.
Now, dosing, because this is where people mess up. If you use sprinkles, you might get health benefits, but not necessarily the same measurable effects seen in trials. Beet juice studies often use around 1 cup per day, sometimes more, or an equivalent nitrate dose. Garlic studies frequently use a standardized aged garlic extract, but in real life, 1 clove daily is a practical starting point. Ginger studies often land around 2 to 4 grams per day of powder, which is more than a tiny pinch. Cinnamon studies often use 1.5 to 4 grams per day, but here's a safety note. Cassia cinnamon has more coumarin, so going mega high long term is not smart. Ceylon cinnamon is lower in coumarin. Amla extracts vary, but common study doses are in the hundreds of milligrams daily, or you can use powder as a food style addition. Side effects are usually boring too: reflux, heartburn, upset stomach, beet-colored urine that scares people the first time. And big warning, if you are on blood thinners or antiplatelet meds, high-dose supplements can stack effects. Food amounts are usually fine. Concentrated pills are the respect this zone.
But even the finest ingredients cannot rescue a system that never moves. For the arteries, movement is not optional entertainment. It is maintenance. When blood rushes through a vessel during activity, it creates shear stress along the endothelial lining. And shear stress, in the right dose, is a powerful signal. Produce nitric oxide. Become more responsive. Repair. This is why exercise acts like a direct training program for the vessels themselves. It improves dilation capacity, reduces stiffness over time, and lowers the inflammatory background that ages the system. The sedentary lifestyle is a silent villain. Long sitting allows blood to pool, reduces the rhythmic pumping action of leg muscles, and encourages the vessels to behave like neglected machinery. Meanwhile, the active older adult, even without heroic workouts, often preserves better endothelial function and better nitric oxide signaling simply by keeping blood flow changing through the day. So the secret sauce is not a food, not a pill, not a single trick. It is a partnership, nutrition that supports vessel chemistry, and movement that forces the vessels to use that chemistry.
Let's make it ridiculously practical. If you want blood flow improvements that you can actually feel, do this. First, walk after meals. Even 10 to 15 minutes can improve glucose handling and get blood moving through the legs, which is huge for microcirculation. Second, break up long sitting. Set a rule: every hour, stand up and do something small. Calf raises, ankle circles, a quick lap around the room. Your calf muscles are basically peripheral pumps. Third, pair movement with nitric oxide support. If you like beetroot, great. But beetroot plus a brisk walk is the combo that makes sense. Nitrates supply the pathway, and exercise triggers the need for dilation. Fourth, build a circulation plate. Most days, vegetables, some protein, healthy fats, and spices like garlic and ginger. Not because spices are magic, but because they gently push inflammation and platelet behavior in a better direction over time. And if your problem is tied to metabolic issues, the boring kings are still glucose control, blood pressure control, and consistent activity. Supplements are helpers, not the foundation.
A word now on expectations, because disappointment is the enemy of consistency. This program will not perform wizardry. It will not erase decades of plaque in a weekend. It will not dissolve an acute clot. It will not turn a fragile system into an invincible one. What it can do, when practiced faithfully, is something more valuable than fantasy. Improve the way the vessels behave. Better dilation, less stiffness, improved pressure numbers by modest but meaningful amounts, better endurance, warmer extremities for many, a quieter inflammatory background, a chemical environment that protects the endothelium instead of assaulting it. And the timetable is not instant. The body does not accept bribes. It accepts patterns. Weeks of consistency can produce measurable changes, and months of consistency often produce changes you can feel. Stairs become less dramatic, walks become longer, legs feel less like concrete. So do not chase thrills, chase trends. You are not trying to be young again. You are trying to make the inside of your vessels behave younger than your birth certificate suggests. That is a worthy mission.
Here's my no-nonsense secret sauce. Formula for most people over 60 who want better circulation. Step 1. Improve vessel signaling. That's nitric oxide and endothelial function. Use nitrate-rich foods and do regular movement that creates shear stress. Step 2. Lower the background noise. That's inflammation and oxidative stress. Build meals around whole foods, add garlic and ginger, consider cinnamon if metabolic health is part of your story, and don't ignore sleep and stress because they influence inflammation too. Step 3. Respect blood behavior. Platelets get more reactive with age, especially with chronic inflammation. Foods like garlic and ginger support healthier platelet function, but do not treat them like prescription drugs. Step 4. Check the real culprits. Cold feet can be blood flow, but it can also be neuropathy, especially with diabetes. Tingling, burning, numbness, slow healing, those are signs to take seriously and not just drink a tea and hope. If you do these steps consistently, you're not chasing a miracle. You're building an internal environment where blood flow can improve naturally. That's how you win after 60, not with drama, with physiology.
The golden age of radio taught a simple lesson. The stories that last are the ones grounded in truth. And the truth about circulation after 60 is this. The body is not a set of pipes to be scrubbed clean. It is a living system to be retrained. The endothelium is the quiet hero. Nitric oxide is the signal flare. Inflammation is the slow sabotage. Platelets are the overeager messengers. And microcirculation is where the audience feels the plot in real time, in toes and fingers and tired legs. When the myth of clogged pipes dominates, people waste years hunting for cleanses, detoxes, and dramatic shortcuts. When function becomes the focus, the path becomes clear. Improve dilation, restore responsiveness, reduce stiffness, and build a lifestyle that gives vessels a reason to stay youthful. This is the science of aging well. Not one ingredient, not one hack. A recipe, a rhythm, a steady investment in the hidden roads that keep every organ alive.
Final quick checklist you can actually follow without turning your kitchen into a laboratory. Most days, eat something nitrate-rich, arugula, spinach, beets, leafy greens. Add garlic to meals if you tolerate it. Use ginger regularly if you enjoy it. Use cinnamon in food amounts, and if you want supplement-style dosing, choose a smarter form and don't overdo it. If you're curious about amla, treat it like a supportive antioxidant and lipid helper, not a miracle. Then move, walk, do it daily, split it up if you want. Your vessels respond to frequency more than heroism. Add tiny movement breaks to prevent blood pooling. And pay attention to your numbers over time: blood pressure, fasting glucose, A1C if relevant, lipids. Those are not just labs, they are the scoreboard for vascular aging. Most importantly, don't fall for the idea that you need to feel something dramatic to be improving. Circulation gets better quietly. One day you realize your feet are warmer. One day stairs are easier. That's not luck. That's your vessels learning how to respond again.
And so, dear listeners, we close tonight's program with a simple promise. Poor circulation after 60 is not always a life sentence. It is often a signal that the vessels need support, the signals need amplification, and the lifestyle needs a new rhythm. The secret sauce was never a secret ingredient hidden in a faraway jungle. It was the combination that modern science keeps confirming. Restore nitric oxide pathways, calm inflammation and oxidative stress, support healthy blood behavior, and marry nutrition to movement so the vessels have both the tools and the training to perform. Ignore the miracle cleanses. Embrace the measurable nudges that stack. In a world addicted to fast fixes, the most powerful strategy is consistency. The reward is not just better numbers on a screen, but a body that feels more capable in the moments that matter. Walking, traveling, living, and staying independent. Until next time, keep those inner roads smooth, responsive, and ready for the journey.